Captain Carter stepped forward, his hand trembling as he reached for the crystal. The moment his fingers brushed against its surface, the chamber shook violently. The walls cracked, the floor trembled beneath them, and a deafening roar filled the room. Water began pouring into the chamber from unseen cracks, rushing in with such force that it felt as though the ocean itself was angry. "What have we done?" one of the team members shouted in panic. But before anyone could react, the crystal in front of them began to glow, a deep, fiery red. The entire chamber illuminated, casting long shadows on the walls. And then the ground beneath their feet cracked open, revealing a massive hidden structure beneath them, an enormous ancient warship, unlike anything humanity or the alien empire had ever seen. The ship was encased in the stone beneath the temple, and it was now slowly rising from its resting place, as though being called back to life. The ship was massive, its design sleek and elegant, but at the same time, terrifying. It had markings, symbols that resembled the ones in the ruins. Its engines, dormant for millennia, were now beginning to hum, as though awakening from a long slumber. Is this what the aliens feared? Dr. Reyes gasped, her voice barely audible as the enormity of the discovery settled over her. "Captain." Carter's mind raced. The alien empire had always thought the water planet was deadly, yet humanity had uncovered something far more dangerous. This warship, this ancient vessel, was a relic of a civilization so advanced it made everything else in the galaxy look primitive. And now it was awakening. "We need to get out of here," Carter said urgently. "We've triggered something far bigger than we can handle." But as they turned to leave, the temple began to shake again, and the sky outside the chamber darkened. A strange force, a magnetic pull, seemed to grab hold of them, pushing them toward the warship. It was clear now, this wasn't just a discovery. It was a battle waiting to happen. The warship wasn't just a relic, it was a weapon, and it had been waiting for someone to awaken it. And now humanity had done just that. The entire chamber trembled as the massive warship began to rise from the depths, its engines crackling to life with a low, guttural hum. The water surged in response, swirling around the temple as if the planet itself were awakening after centuries of slumber. Captain Carter and his team stood frozen, their eyes wide in awe and fear. The alien empire had always believed the water planet was nothing more than a death trap. Yet here, humanity had not only survived, but had uncovered an ancient, powerful weapon, one capable of turning the galaxy upside down. "We need to get to the surface," Carter said, his voice steady but urgent. "This place is about to change. Everything." The team scrambled to move, but it was clear they were being pulled toward the warship, as if the very planet were calling them. The energy around the crystal intensified, almost like a magnetic force, drawing them closer to the rising ship. The ancient warship was vast. Its sleek, alien design was now illuminated by the glow of the crystal, casting an eerie light on the water around them. But the ship wasn't the only thing that was awakening. As Carter and the crew swam toward the surface, they realized the water planet was no longer calm. The sea was shifting, boiling in places, as if some ancient power was being stirred from deep within. The team made it back to the surface, just as the warship rose completely from the water, its massive form towering above the ocean. The skies darkened, and lightning crackled as the energy that had been dormant for so long finally began to surge outward. The warship's engines roared to life, and before Carter could react, a powerful beam of energy shot from its central core, sending a shockwave through the ocean and beyond. The blast was enough to knock their ship off course, sending it tumbling through the water. The power behind the beam was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. It wasn't just energy, it was destruction. "This is it," Dr. Reyes gasped, her eyes wide in disbelief. The warship's a weapon, not just a ship. This is what the alien empire feared. As the warship's power continued to increase, Carter realized they were no longer just explorers. They were now the guardians of this ancient force. Humanity had unlocked something far more dangerous than they could have imagined. The alien empire's centuries of fear had been justified, but now the weapon they had feared was in the hands of those they had underestimated. But even as they watched the chaos unfold, Carter knew there was still hope. They had only just begun to understand the true nature of the warship. It was still an unknown, a mystery, but the knowledge and technology that humanity now held gave them an edge. Far across the galaxy, the alien empire watched in horror as the warship's energy began to spread. Their worst fears had come true. The power they had avoided for so long was now in the hands of humans, a species they had dismissed as insignificant. The Empire quickly scrambled its fleets, sending warships and battalions to reclaim the planet. But it was too late. Humanity had already claimed the ocean planet and the power it held. As the alien fleets approached, they found themselves facing something they never anticipated. Humanity had mastered the ancient technology and was already using it against them. The warship, powered by the energy of the planet, fired its weapons at the alien ships, disintegrating them with a force that was both beautiful and terrifying. The very weapon that had been feared for centuries was now in the hands of those who had unlocked its secrets. The alien empire's forces were no match for the power humanity had unearthed. Their fleets were obliterated in seconds, their once mighty ships reduced to debris in the water. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, and now the consequences were clear. The alien empire had thought the water planets were nothing but death, traps. They had thought the oceans held nothing but doom, but they were wrong. And now humanity was rewriting the rules. The water planet, once feared, had become humanity's greatest weapon, and the galaxy would never be the same again. With their newfound power, humanity didn't just survive, they thrived. They had proven that they were more than capable of rising to any challenge, no matter the cost. The alien empire, once the most powerful force in the galaxy, was left in ruins. Its fleets scattered, its leadership in disarray, and its grip on the galaxy slipping away. They had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. Captain Carter stood at the edge of the ocean, gazing at the warship as it settled into its new position. The once dominant empire had crumbled in the face of humanity's strength. And as the crystal's glow faded into the distance, he knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity had proven that they were not to be underestimated. They had unlocked a power far beyond anyone's imagination, and now they were the ones who held the fate of the galaxy in their hands. The water planet had been a mystery, a place of fear and superstition. But for humanity, it was a new beginning. And, with that, humanity had rewritten the galaxy's future. The galaxy was vast, filled with hundreds of different species, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. Among these, the alien empire was the most feared. They had conquered countless worlds, built massive fleets, and expanded their reach to every corner of the galaxy. Nothing could stop them, or so they thought. There was one thing the empire feared above all else: water planets. These worlds, covered entirely in oceans, were believed to be deadly, hostile environments that no living being could survive. The alien empire had attempted to conquer a few of them, but each time their fleets were lost. Ships disappeared without a trace. Explorers who dared to venture into the depths came back changed, if they came back at all. The Empire's technology was unmatched, but it was useless against the crushing pressure of the oceans, the violent storms, and the strange creatures that lurked below. For centuries, the Empire believed that water planets were a death sentence, a place where nothing could thrive. They saw them as cursed, as places where even their mighty weapons could do no good. The oceans were too vast, too dangerous. Each time a mission to one of these planets failed, the Empire only grew more convinced that they were right. Water. Worlds were not meant to be conquered, they were meant to be avoided. But then, something happened that no one expected. A water planet, unmarked on any map, appeared out of nowhere. It was not supposed to exist, or at least that's what everyone thought. It didn't even have a name, just a number, a cold, impersonal designation. It was a mystery, floating in the void, and the Empire's leaders knew it had to be explored. They couldn't let this unknown world slip through their fingers. They needed to conquer it. At first, the Empire sent small exploration teams, the bravest of their soldiers and scientists, to see what this new world had to offer. They were equipped with the best technology, the most advanced suits, and the finest spacecraft. But the results were disastrous. Every mission to the planet ended in failure. The first team to land was lost without a single transmission. Their last message was nothing more than a panicked scream before the signal went silent. The second team was even more prepared, but they, too, disappeared. They had managed to get footage of the planet's oceans, a vast expanse of blue stretching as far as the eye could see, with waves crashing violently against the shores. But when they tried to explore further, something strange happened. The water turned dark, as if it was hiding something. Then a monstrous wave appeared, rising higher and higher. It crashed into the ship, and that was the last anyone heard from them. The wave was unlike any storm the Empire had ever seen. It wasn't natural. It was as if the planet itself was fighting back. As the Empire continued to lose more ships, the rumors started to spread. Some whispered that the water planet was cursed, that it was a place of death. Others believed it was haunted, inhabited by creatures far more terrifying than anything the Empire had ever encountered. The leaders of the alien empire were divided. Some wanted to abandon the planet entirely, to write it off as an impossible mission, but others saw an opportunity. They believed that the planet held something valuable, something worth the risk. But there was one thing the Empire knew for sure. They were terrified of the ocean. No one knew what was lurking beneath the surface, and the thought of being trapped there, powerless against the planet's unknown forces, was enough to make even the bravest soldiers hesitate. For years, the water planet sat untouched, its mysteries waiting to be uncovered. The alien empire had given up on it, thinking it was too dangerous, too unpredictable. They focused their efforts on other worlds, ones they knew they could control. They laughed at the thought of ever returning to that cursed water world. But that's when humanity stepped in. Humans, unlike the aliens, were not afraid of the unknown. They had always been curious, eager to explore, to discover what lay beyond the stars. And the water planet, with all its dangers, was just another mystery to them, waiting to be solved. Where the alien empire saw fear, humanity saw an opportunity. The aliens had underestimated the human spirit. While they feared the depths, humans had learned to live with the oceans. They had dived into the seas on their homeworld for centuries, mastering the art of swimming, exploring the unknown, and pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. The Empire's greatest mistake was thinking that water planets meant death. They thought that only the strongest could survive the oceans. But humanity, with its resilience and determination, had other plans. And now, as the aliens watched in disbelief, humans were preparing to show them just how wrong they were. For centuries, the alien empire had ruled with an iron fist, believing that nothing in the galaxy could rival their power. But then, humanity arrived, an unassuming species that the aliens had once underestimated. While the Empire cowered in fear, humanity looked at the water planet with fresh eyes, eyes unclouded by centuries of superstition. Where others saw danger, humanity saw opportunity. Humanity was known for its daring spirit, and this water planet would not be an exception. The planet's oceans, once thought to be insurmountable, became a challenge, a test of will and courage. Humans had long since mastered their own oceans, diving into its depths for research, exploration, and even recreation. The ocean was a part of their very being, from the first fishermen of ancient Earth to the astronauts in their space stations. The time had come for them to face something no alien species had dared, to swim in the very waters that had terrified the galaxy's mightiest empire. As word of the mysterious planet spread, humanity's brightest minds began to assemble a team. A group of astronauts, scientists, and engineers, each with a unique skill set, was selected to explore the water planet. The team had one objective: to uncover the secrets hidden beneath the waves, to see if the alien empire had missed something in their fear. The leader of this mission, Captain Alex Carter, was a man who had spent his life exploring the unknown. He had survived in the freezing waters of Earth's polar regions, navigated through thick jungles, and sailed across oceans that many feared to even touch. He had seen things that others could not even imagine, yet the idea of the water planet intrigued him more than any other challenge. He felt something in his gut. This was where humanity could show the galaxy their true strength. The mission was not without its dangers. The team had no idea what awaited them. They knew only what the aliens had left behind: failed missions, empty ships, and strange, unexplainable signs of danger. Yet, even as they suited up and boarded their spacecraft, there was no fear in their hearts, just excitement. Excitement for the unknown, for what might be lurking beneath the surface. If there was something to be discovered, they would be the ones to find it. The journey to the water planet was long. The ship, a sleek, state-of-the-art vessel designed for deep space travel, hummed with life as the crew prepared for the descent. Their mission wasn't to conquer the planet in the same way the Empire had tried. They would take a different approach. They would explore, learn, and adapt rather than fight. They believed the ocean, with all its mysteries, had much to offer. As they neared the water planet, the ship's sensors began to pick up strange readings. The planet was alive with activity, more than anyone had anticipated. Vast currents swirled beneath the surface, creating powerful, unpredictable waves that crashed against the shores of uncharted continents. The atmosphere above the planet seemed almost charged with energy, a deep, eerie hum echoing through space. Captain Carter stood at the helm, his eyes fixed on the vast blue world below. He could see the ocean's surface, shimmering like liquid glass, hiding whatever secrets lay beneath. The closer they got, the more intense the hum became. He turned to his crew, his expression calm but determined. "Get ready, everyone," he said. "We're about to dive into the unknown." The landing was smooth, and the crew made their way to the edge of the planet's vast oceans. The air was thick with the scent of salt and the distant sound of waves crashing against the shore. As the first human to set foot on this planet, Captain Carter took a deep breath. It felt surreal, like stepping into the future, into a world where anything was possible. The first steps into the water were cautious. The temperature of the ocean was cooler than expected, but not unbearable. The water was clear, almost too clear, as if it were hiding something deeper. Carter led the way, his suit designed to withstand the pressure of the ocean depths. As the team followed, their eyes widened in awe at the sheer size of the ocean, stretching beyond the horizon. For all the galaxy's fear of this world, it felt strangely peaceful. But as they ventured further into the water, something unexpected happened. The hum, once distant, grew louder. The waves, once gentle, began to shift with an unnatural force. A strong current began to pull at them, guiding them toward a strange formation beneath the surface. The water seemed to be alive, guiding them, beckoning them deeper. Carter signaled for the team to stay close. They were only beginning to scratch the surface of the planet's mysteries. As they dove deeper, the ocean floor came into view. Strange, jagged structures rose from the depths, covered in thick coral. It was clear that the planet had been home to something far older than the alien empire or humanity. "What is that?" one of the scientists asked, pointing toward the massive structures. The buildings weren't natural. They were too symmetrical, too precise. It was as if a civilization had once called this place home. But the question remained: who and why had the alien empire abandoned this world? As the team moved closer, the current grew stronger. The mysterious hum grew louder, almost deafening, as they made their way to the heart of the ruins. Something was calling them. They could feel it in the air, in the water, in the very planet itself. Humanity had no idea what they had just stepped into. But one thing was clear: the water planet was not what the alien empire had believed it to be. It was a place of immense power, a place where humanity would leave its mark, whether the empire liked it or not. As the team ventured deeper into the alien ruins, the hum from the planet grew almost unbearable, like the Earth itself was alive, breathing beneath their feet. The ocean, which had once seemed so tranquil, now felt as though it was watching them, waiting. There was something in the water, something ancient and powerful, hidden in the depths, and humanity had only just begun to scratch the surface of its mysteries. The ruins they discovered were unlike anything they had ever seen. Towering stone structures rose from the ocean floor, covered in thick layers of coral and seaweed, but they were still unmistakably artificial. They were not of alien design, nor human. These structures belonged to a civilization that had been lost to time. The stone was smooth and perfectly cut, yet weathered, as if these buildings had been submerged for eons. How had they remained intact for so long? Captain Carter stepped closer, his eyes scanning the intricate carvings etched into the walls. The symbols were foreign, unlike any known to humanity or the alien empire. They were beautiful, yet strange, as if they held some kind of hidden meaning. "We need to document everything," he said, signaling for his team to record every detail. The discovery of these ruins alone would be enough to change the course of history. As they carefully explored the area, a strange pressure filled the air. The current, which had been strong but manageable, now seemed to guide them toward a large, circular opening in the center of the ruins. It was as if the ocean itself was pulling them closer. Reluctantly, Carter led the team toward the entrance, a stone archway large enough for their entire crew to pass through. Inside, the atmosphere was different. The water was warmer here, and the air felt charged with a strange energy. They were no longer just underwater. They were in a hidden world, deep beneath the planet's surface, surrounded by secrets waiting to be uncovered. The entrance led them into a vast chamber, unlike anything they had expected. The walls were lined with more strange symbols, glowing faintly in the dim light. At the center of the room lay a massive, crystal-like structure, pulsating with energy. It was as if the very heart of the planet was contained within it. The crystal was clear, but its surface rippled with an internal glow, shifting between colors, blue, green, and purple, like the ocean itself. One of the scientists, Dr. Elena Reyes, approached the crystal, her eyes wide with awe. This is no ordinary structure. It's like it's alive. The energy here is unlike anything I've ever encountered. Her voice trembled as she reached out, hesitant, but drawn by the crystal's mysterious power. Captain Carter, sensing the gravity of the situation, motioned for her to be cautious. "We don't know what this is. Stay back, Elena." But before Carter could stop her, Dr. Reyes touched the crystal. The moment her fingers brushed against its surface, a surge of energy shot through the room, and the entire chamber seemed to come alive. The water began to swirl, the walls trembled, and for a split second, it felt as though the very planet was shaking with the force of the energy now pulsing through the crystal. The team stepped back in alarm, but the energy didn't stop, it intensified. The water around them rippled and twisted as if responding to the power of the crystal. The symbols on the walls began to glow brighter, and then, for the first time, a sound echoed through the chamber, an ancient, haunting melody, as if the planet itself was singing. The team watched in stunned silence as the crystal's glow intensified, casting a strange, almost hypnotic light throughout the room. Suddenly the water parted, revealing something in the depths, something that had been hidden for eons. A massive structure, shaped like a temple, slowly rose from the ocean floor. It was as if the crystal had summoned it, like the ocean was, revealing its secrets to those who dared to uncover them. Captain Carter's heart raced as he realized the magnitude of the discovery. This isn't just a planet. It's a massive, ancient network. The crystal is a key, and it's unlocking something beyond our understanding. They had only just begun to understand the true power of the water planet, but one thing was clear. It wasn't just a place of danger. It was a place of unimaginable potential, a place that had been waiting for someone to discover it. And now, humanity was the first to uncover its secrets. But even as they marveled at their discovery, a growing sense of unease settled over the team. They had awakened something. The water had stirred, and the planet had responded. What would the consequences be? What was hidden in the depths, waiting for them to come closer? Captain Carter knew one thing for certain. The galaxy would never be the same. The alien empire had feared the oceans of this world, but humanity had uncovered something far more powerful. They had just unlocked a new chapter in the galaxy's history, one that the alien empire would never have imagined. And as the crystal continued to pulse with energy, they knew that their discovery was only the beginning. As the massive temple-like structure rose from the ocean, the crew stood frozen, the weight of their discovery settling over them. The water around them rippled and churned, as if reacting to the awakening of this ancient force. Captain Carter's heart raced. The strange, humming energy from the crystal echoed through the depths, reverberating in their bodies, urging them to understand. "Its meaning, this is far beyond anything we've ever seen," Dr. Reyes said, her voice trembling. She was staring at the temple as it slowly emerged from the water, its towering columns seeming to stretch into the ocean's depths, disappearing into darkness. It's a whole city, a hidden civilization. But where are the people? What happened here? Carter shook his head. He didn't have answers, but the questions were growing more urgent with every passing moment. The temple wasn't just a ruin. It was alive, and now that it had been awakened, it seemed to pulse with intent. Whatever had been sealed beneath, these waters for so long had just been released, and humanity had been the ones to unleash it. The team slowly began to swim toward the temple. The water was growing warmer, and the deeper they went, the stronger the current became, almost like an invisible hand guiding them forward. The structures beneath the surface were becoming clearer now. The temple's steps were etched with more intricate carvings, symbols that seemed to shift and change as they looked at them. They weren't static. They seemed to be alive in motion, like the temple itself was communicating with them. As they approached the entrance, a massive stone doorway loomed before them. It was intricately designed, with swirling patterns and glowing veins that pulsed. In rhythm with the energy of the crystal, the doorway seemed to call to them, as if it had been waiting for centuries for someone to open it. Captain Carter, leading the team, reached for the ancient door, his fingers brushing against the surface. As soon as he touched it, the doorway rumbled to life. A deep sound, like the groan of something ancient and enormous, filled the water, echoing across the depths. The stone door began to move, shifting slowly but powerfully, revealing a dark passageway beyond. "Stay sharp," Carter ordered, his voice steady, though the unease in his gut was growing. "We don't know what's inside." The team entered, their lights illuminating the path ahead. The air felt different in here, thicker, as though it was charged with an energy they couldn't yet comprehend. The tunnel was long, its walls covered in the same glowing symbols as the ruins outside, but these symbols were more intricate, more detailed, almost like they were telling a story. They began to see patterns in the design, words, images that seemed to shift as they passed them. It was like walking through the history of a lost civilization, a race whose knowledge had been lost to the galaxy for eons. As they moved deeper into the tunnel, the water grew colder, and the strange humming intensified. The energy that seemed to flow through the walls of the temple was undeniable. It was as if the very heart of the planet was alive, its pulse synchronized with their own. The feeling of being watched, of being guided by something far greater than themselves, was overwhelming. Finally, they reached a chamber at the end of the tunnel. The room was vast, its ceiling stretching high above them, lost in the darkness. In the center of the chamber, there was another crystal, much larger than the one they had encountered earlier. This crystal was not glowing. It was dark, but alive, with an energy that radiated from deep within. It's pulsing," Dr. Reyes whispered, eyes wide. "It's reacting to us."